Oh, there we go. Welcome.
To Rising from the Ashes.
Rising from the
Welcome
Welcome.
to Rising from the Ashes.
Ashes.
What's up?
Oh, there he is.
There he is. What's happening, brother?
Straight from the underworld,
What's
huh?
going on, man? Straight from the fucking Dulocs.
Word up.
All what unto the
Yeah,
Duloc.
man.
Oh, geez. Wow. Well, we got ourselves into such a pickle here, huh? Going from last week's
Really?
conversation, finding ourselves into
Yeah.
today's, huh?
Picking it back
Yes,
up.
sir. So what are we doing today, Roman?
What's up,
What are we
Stacey?
talking about here? What are we talking about?
Okay, so last week we did subterranean realms. We were talking about different lost continents, cultures that have been submerged, some inner world workings, bunch of stuff, bunch of great stuff. Great conversation, guys. Go check it out. We got slides, we got things for days. And at the end of that, we concluded that we should go into Underworld mythologies and talk about more of this like shambolic type of agarthic type of situations. And we have compartmentalized it out to where we each have a couple of different cultures that we want to talk about, and then we can look back and see how these stories connect and to this concept and archetype of an underworld, and talk about that. So that's what we are doing, brother, and that is where we are at. And boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy, 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 oh boy, lady, wonderful creatrix, matriarchal matrix. Anyways, what are you talking about today, Dan? What's going on with you? Tell us a little bit. Give us like before we warm up and we dive into this. Just give us a little something, man. Like we want to know what's going on with you and like what's happening in your life. Are you doing all right? You doing good? We love you.
Nothing but love for you, Dan.
Doing good, man. Doing great. Doing great. I work 6 days a week pretty much. Sundays are really my only day off, and sometimes they want me to work on Sundays too, and I say, fuck no. And I don't go
No,
in.
I got 9 hours of podcasting to do.
And, yeah. So I work 6 days a week, and then I try to have a girlfriend and try to do a podcast, and I do a Tuesday show, a Friday show, the Sunday show, and then any interviews that we have for Rising from the Ashes. And then when me and Indy can get together and do a show. So pretty much like 4 to 5 times a week, I'm doing shows as well as working all day. So that's life. That's my life.
He's what we call a hammer in Hawaii.
That's what I'm doing. And then I listen to podcasts and books and stuff like that while I'm at work all day, and that's kind of how I get research done or do stuff, And then when I come home, I'm watching. If I'm not doing podcasts, I'm watching YouTube videos about shit or doing more research. So that's pretty much seeking the knowledge, man.
That's what's
So
up.
yeah,
man.
that's what I do. I pretty much.
Idle hands do the devil's work, so you don't have to worry too much about that.
Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, some people think I do devil's work anyways because it's not all.
Shout out to Rule. What's happening, Rule?
Wisdom.
What's up, JM from Alaska? You're up there with the close to
What's
the
up,
north.
JM? I used to live in Alaska for a year. I lived in Palmer.
In Palmer?
Yeah.
Or Homer?
Real black.
Palmer.
Palmer.
It's near Eagle. It's near what's that other Wasilla? It's like 15 minutes from Wasilla, and then like 45 minutes from Eagle River, and then about an hour from Anchorage.
Like Alaska is incredibly esoteric in many ways, and I can't wait to to dive a bit deeper into that because of all the Greek god names that are there, and the specific,
Yeah.
just how
Oscar.
Alaska was, like how it was like, okay, America's like, we need this. That's significant to me, right? Like that means, it's like this land bridge connected to Russia through Alaska, and it's just like a whole thing. I can't wait to dive into that. JM says he
Yeah.
lives in Petersburg. So he lives in Russia, he says. St. Petersburg. No, I'm just kidding. That's hilarious.
I don't know where that's at, but yeah. I
Sweet,
went to
man.
a big glacier up in the north. I forget the name of it, man, but I walked around in it and there's ice caverns.
Oh.
And it looks like frozen like waves. It's such a trip. The ice is like this totally chill ice blue. And there's like these weird, crazy colors in the ice.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing, man.
That's cool.
Wow.
Reminds me of Maria Wheatley in the show we just did, talking about blue waters, and apparently the deer follow the blue waters energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll learn more about that.
Reindeer.
Yeah, the reindeer.
The deer of the rain.
Elk out where I'm at over here in North Carolina. The elk are massive.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen some. That's where I first saw my first moose. It was in Alaska.
Was in North Carolina?
Alaska. Their legs are like as tall as a vehicle.
Yeah, they're huge. Tilted legs. Massive.
Power.
Yeah, then, dude, they're giant, dude. It's like
what about you, Andy? What do you got going on, brother? How's your week?
Week's going great, man. I've been training on my off days for a new job where I'm getting a better wage. Moving from one warehouse to another warehouse. Straight killing it. I like working in the warehouse. I can listen to a podcast while I work.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay informed, keep educating myself. These guys I like a lot better at the new job. We can have a really deep intellectual conversations, talk about some esotericism. Ooh. It's like a breath of fresh air. My last guys was only talking about sports games and TV commercials.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't follow that. But to each their own, you know what I mean? But I'm glad to put up in the world. Things is going well.
What are you doing, Roman? Because you always seem like you got to stick up your ass nowadays.
I do. I'm just stuck on the world tree, man. I'm spinning.
You're always angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much anger built up now. Because you're
zero
working
anger
all the time.
Zero anger. But this is true. I went from being on a farm and working like very minimally. Well, it's farm work, so you're just on the farm all the time. But now I'm, it's a completely different environment. We're managing this cafe and training kids that basically like. Anyways, it's a great thing. I love it. Life is amazing. Don't worry about me. I was asking y'all's because I'm staying in the shadows.
You want us to tell our stories, but you want to keep all your secret, Mr. Secretive Scorpio over there.
That's right, baby. I'm hiding under my rock.
I get it.
Hey, check it out.
Shine the light on us so it doesn't have to be shown on you, huh?
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Is that what you've been practicing?
Is that a whale or a frog? There's a
frog.
That was a frog. Cool.
Well, which frogs are connected to the underworld?
Frogs are connected to the leg bone.
Frogs connected to the leg bone. My leg bone's connected to my ankle bone. I get so hung up on bones. Dr. Funkenstein.
The frog represents rebirth, along with the snake.
Yeah, frog and Okay, well, let's get into it. I see Indy's got something pulled up here on the screen.
Yes, sir.
You guys, let's go into these different mythologies of the underworld and then see how we can compare them all together and find our own sacred center.
All right, we have a 4,000-year-old guide to the ancient Egyptian underworld, which may be the oldest illustrated book. Here we have an image of the so-called book. Looks like it's laid out on some wood.
When you say so-called book, what do you mean? What do you mean
And when I say
so-called?
so-called, I believe that they're referring to a tablet. Now, when they talk about tablets in the Ten Commandments, they're referring to what the Hebrew people called a sefer, which is cognate with the word sapphire for a reason. They carved it onto sapphire stone, supposedly. Now, a lot of the early Egyptian writings were carved on stone, as we see the hieroglyphics, and then they have the papyrus scrolls. So it was probably likely to be a scroll or a tablet. Now here, this caption says, the floor of one of the coffins of Gua, the physician of the governor Jehudi Hotep, the paintings dated to 1795 BC, show the two ways, land and sea, that the dead could use to navigate the afterlife. An even older book of two ways has now been unearthed. So this is a later book that tells a similar story. Well, it's a scribed coffin bed, one might say. Now we can get the story here. In the ancient Egypt, death wasn't merciful enough to end one's troubles. The afterlife was fraught with peril, too, and the dead had to contend with something of a spiritual obstacle course to reach Rostau, the glorious realm of Osiris, god of death. At least two paths of Rostau existed, one by land, another by sea. Both were arduous enough to require a guidebook, the aptly named Book of Two Ways. This intricate map of the ancient Egyptian underworld may be the first illustrated book in history, as I was mentioning earlier. And archaeologists have now unearthed a 4,000-year-old copy, possibly the oldest version ever found, oldest book. The find, described in a recent paper in the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, nudges the history of ancient literature backward in time, underscoring the dedication and sophistication with which these individuals tackled the enigma of their own mortality. The ancient Egyptians were obsessed with life in all its forms, says Rita Lucarelli, an Egyptian curator at the University of California, Berkeley, in an interview with Lids. Death for them was a new life. The newest, technically oldest book of Two Ways joins just 24 others known to modern archaeologists. It seats the previous record holder by about 40 years. Colin Barris reported for New Scientist in October. Discovered in 2012 during excavation of a burial shaft in the Egyptian village of Deir al-Barsha, or Deir el-Barsha, the text was found in a coffin that had largely escaped the attention of both grave robbers and previous generations of archaeologists. Unlike the bound books of modern times, the ancient text wasn't a standalone volume. Instead, excerpts were written on the side of the sarcophagus itself, surviving in the form of two rotting cedar panels etched with images and hieroglyphs. These inscriptions clearly quote the Book of Two Ways, and other artifacts in the grave have been dated to the reign of Pharaoh Mentuhotep II, who ruled until 2010 BC. Easily accessible to the entombed, such coffin texts were meant to situate the deceased in the world of the gods. Study author Harco Williams, an Egyptologist at the University of Leuven in Belgium, tells Lids. This particular sarcophagus was occupied by a high-status woman named Ankh, though the afterworld instructions in her final resting place actually referred to her as he. The funny thing is, the whole idea of how you survive in the netherworld is expressed in male terms, Willems told Barras. In ancient Egyptian, rebirth was linked most closely to male gods. Dead women, then, had to adopt the pronoun he to be more like Osiris himself. Karakuni, an expert on Egyptian art and architecture at the University of California, Los Angeles, explains to Lids. But Ankh's Book of Two Ways still showed some hints of personalization. Her journey, the text portended, might have been waylaid earlier by a ring of fire. Later, she may have dealt with demons, spirits, and even earthly plights of fire. The only protection against these ills were spells cast by the deceased Ankh herself. Likely, the companion text came with specific instructions on these incantations. The maps of this book and others are muddled with meandering lines and ominous figures, symbols difficult to interpret in modern times. Some researchers think the depictions may have been drawn from images in life rather than death, evoking rituals meant to bring deceased gods or humans back from the dead. Either way, the text signed rebirth in this world or another. Signified rebirth in this world or another, rather. That makes excerpts from the Book of Two Ways common fixtures of Egyptian graves. Already the oldest copy may have a contender, Varus reports. The leather scroll version discovered by Egyptologist Wael Sherbini, who has yet to publish his findings. Whatever is revealed next, archaeologists will certainly be vying for a glimpse. There's no two ways about it. And so, in this story, it tells about the journey to the land of the reeds through the Duat. And I believe you go to the Duat first to have your heart weighed against a feather of Ma'at by Anubis, as Thoth scribes the goings on, and then determining whether your heart weighs equal to a feather or outweighs that feather, you will take one of two paths. And if your heart does weigh equal to a feather, it is said that you can then travel to the land of the reeds. And the other path is often said to be a path during which your soul will be devoured by a crocodile-headed god or goddess, being Amit, the female crocodile-headed god, or Sobek, the male crocodile-headed god. Now, the land of reeds is called Aru, Aaru. And that is where you meet Osiris. If you've led a life and had not made any of the 42 transgressions of Ma'at. So it was more than 10 little commandments you had to follow back in those times. 42.
Oh, there's a big list. 42?
Yeah, I believe it was 42.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is actually very.
That number 42. No.
Tell us, Dan. Tell us about your 42 goodness, your little juicy squeeze there.
The answer to everything is 42, right?
Yes, sir.
The was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Math is 42. Gematria. So like everything, the answer is always 42. So when there's 42 things that you have to do, it's just pretty interesting.
4 to me and 2 to you.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all he's saying, baby.
I got a list of the 42 transgressions here.
Yes, but please talk about all of those.
Shall we? I got a share screen with it. Here we go. Number 1, I have not committed sin. Very general term. Number 2, I have not committed robbery with violence. Number 3, I have not stolen. Number 4, I have not slain men or women. Number 5, I have not stolen food. Number 6, I have not swindled offerings. Number 7, I have not stolen from or goddess. Go on. What are we going to say?
Hold up. Does this mean that you can what about soldiers and stuff that killed people? Are they what's it called? Exempt from these rules?
I don't believe so. Because I know that the word military and syncretism is thought to come from the term "my light awry." You've lost the light of passion in your heart and have become willing to use violence against our companions in this world, our neighbors, who that you should love, but have decided to kill. Sometimes
Because
you have to
we
kill to protect, but then you lose your own salvation.
mhm. And we've been talking about vitriol. I had mentioned it before, and then Roman had talked about it in that show he did the other day on was it Vibrant with Chance and Gabe and Mario. You guys were talking
Mm-hmm.
about vitriol on there too.
Mm-hmm.
And look, these are all ways that you have to purify yourself before you can go into the underworld, right? And what was the
Yeah.
vitriol saying? That you have to pure yourself to go within, to go inside to find the stone, right? So seemingly, it seems like these are all the ways that you have to purify your soul to weigh it against the feather. Because if you have done any of those things, your sin is going to outweigh that feather. So these are the things that you are supposed to strive for. So
Yes.
I just
It'll
wanted
give
to bring
you,
that up.
it'll make you heavy-hearted after having killed.
Yeah.
I know a lot of veterans struggle with that, nightmares and such, and shell shock and things of the sort. All right, number 8. I have not told lies. Number 9. I have not carried away food. Number 10. I have not cursed. Number 11. I have not closed my ears to truth. Number 12. I have
Hmm.
not committed adultery. Number 13. I have
Number 11. That's an interesting one. I have not closed my ears to truth.
yeah.
That's especially in our society today. Like, look at everything that's going on, and all these people that are like, no, 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 this is the way it is because they told us, even though the truth is right there in their face. So that's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah. Apparently in Kabbalah there's 144 steps, if I'm not mistaken, to reach uh, the top of the ladder of astrotheology to be able to learn the teachings of the heavenly kingdom. And one of
Hmm.
those is I will not steal. But their interpretation is not just stealing material things. They also say that if you do something while you're employed that you're not being instructed to do, you're stealing from your employer. They also say
Mm.
that if you are speaking to someone and they tell you that they don't wish to hear what you say, you are stealing their attention.
Yes.
And so even if you were trying to tell someone the truth, you would be stealing. But under this interpretation, the person who's not wanting to hear the truth would be transgressing.
Mm.
It's a different side of it. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on here. We'll try to get through these rare
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
third of the way. No, I like
That
it.
brings a new meaning to
For
preaching
good
to the
conversation.
choir.
Good conversation. I have not
Yeah.
made anyone cry. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. I have not seduced anyone's
Yeah,
wife.
Roman.
I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not disobeyed law. I have not been exclusively angry. I have not cursed God or goddess. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily without thought. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I
Oh
have
shit.
worked. I have not worked. Those embellishers.
Yeah.
I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I have not polluted the water. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, words, or deeds. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belongs to God or goddess. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. I have not taken food from a child. I have not acted with insolence. I have not destroyed property belonging to God or goddess. And then there's a small little caption down here that says, after the petitioner's testimony containing the 42 affirmative declarations, the weighing of the ka for truth, and the reading of the scales. It is said that the doer of Ma'at is administered Ma'at. If the petitioner is deemed by the goddess Ma'at to be a substantial compliance with the 42 laws of Ma'at, the petitioner passes from the Duat to the field of reeds, Arus, where Osiris sits as the final gatekeeper.
Yeah, those are a lot of things that you don't think about,
Yeah.
but they can all weigh heavy. Like a lot of those, not a lot, but a few of those, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, most of them.
Some of those are tricky because, like,
Shut up, bro, man. That's
can't make
you.
somebody cry. What if your baby cries? I mean, that's how they communicate. Maybe
Oh,
there's exceptions. I mean,
Yeah. I made Roman cry the other day.
he did. It's a pretty common occurrence. It's nothing special.
hopefully
Yeah,
in a good way.
he's emotional.
Tears of joy.
Tears of well, they were actually tears that that was it was an emotion I hadn't yet experienced. So he had broken my proverbial egg of understanding of the picture.
Whatever.
That's for everything. Expanding your horizons.
But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's a lot of those things are pretty interesting, man.
The crocodile is an interesting theme. I'm excited to get into some of the Mayan crocodile myths later as we
Excellent.
journey on down the rivers here, because what's common with the underworlds?
Rivers,
Rivers, man.
rivers, crocodiles. It also seems Underworld seems to be a place of death, right? It
Yeah.
seemingly seems like the Underworld, they're journeying down there for. It's negative. It's like
Well, no, is death negative though, or is death just another swinging door to a new birth?
Well, like here's what I'm saying. So, like, if you're at ground level and you're going down, you're going sub zero, right? So you're going into the negative numbers. Where above ground, if you're going up, you're ascending into higher numbers. So that, because what I'm referring to, I guess, is like Dante's 7 layers of hell, and those are seemingly within the earth, and those are associated with sins of going deeper and deeper into the darkness of the inner world. So that's why I was saying, like, it has that negative connotation. So
Yeah, I'm a stubborn boy, and I I'm just like, if they want to say it's dark, I want to say it's light. I mean, unless it's legit, murder and cruelty, just like like hurting and defiling somebody's, for no necessary means by, then that is dark. But when they talk about these dark places, like death is something that can just, it's like inevitably gonna come. And I'm like, bring it on, baby. Bring it on. Let me have it. Let me face it right now and kiss it. No tongue though. No tongue. I'm talking just straight smooch. Anyways.
Yeah, you can see death as a hopeful thing, because when there's rebirth, is you get a whole new chance to start again. And so for some people, if they lived in misery, or maybe they were maimed or something in their life, they get a chance to live a life without that suffering. So that could bring hope for some folks. Now, I know most testimonies of the underworld are negative, but I know Admiral Byrd had an amazing story of the underworld, which was very intriguing, and he found it to be very exciting and fun and very interesting there. I know Agartha and Shambhala are considered to be like a heaven in the inner earth. And in Agarthian mystery school, they're taught that there are three deities of the inner earth that rule the underworld. One of them is called Brahitma, who is the king of the underworld. And then his two assistants help people from down there. They help facilitate our thoughts here, because Mahitma knows the purposes of future events, and then Mahinga rules the cause of those events. So apparently, those two deities facilitate the events that go on here.
Whoa.
As
What
sort of
is that animal?
that is my half black jaguar cat right here.
Yeah.
She's a hybrid,
Can we I
huge.
don't let it show its butt.
No, she won't. She's just looking at something else.
She's gonna turn around and
She's eating
go
my
to the
salmon
hole.
right now. She's over here. You want some salmon, girl? Here you go.
Catastrophe.
Come on. Move along. Oh my lord. She's a fun one. So yeah, there's all kinds of different things. They say in the, as we were speaking of the Egyptians, in the law of polarity, in the seven hermetic laws of the universal or natural laws, it is said that all truths are half truths and all
Hmm.
paradoxes can be reconciled. So you can find good and bad in just about everything. There's always
Yeah.
outliers and exceptions. There's yin in the yang and yang in the yin.
Do you guys think Heket is related to Hecate?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Because that would give Hecate the head of a frog.
Interesting. Well, you got Zolotl, who we're going to talk about later, who is the dog-headed god who turns into a salamander.
What
So
about
Oh,
canines turn into amphibians and felines turn into amphibians. I like
a hip cat?
hip cats.
hip cat.
Heck
Hip cat.
Hecate. Heck
Oh,
cat.
that's my notes. You better eat that, salmon.
So the cat and the frog, yeah, interesting. All right, okay. Well, what do we got going on here?
Cat and the frog.
The reeds? Are we gonna get in? Are we getting into the?
Oh, I was just
Are we
showing. They
getting into
showed
the
the name
reeds?
of the land of the reeds was called Arus at the bottom of that other text, but they call it Aru here. So
Mm.
I just put that up.
It's the name of the heavenly paradise in the Egyptian mythology.
Heavenly
Aru.
paradise in the netherworld.
Hmm.
Now, what do you guys think? Now, Osiris, they called it westing when you would die. Osiris took that
Mm-hmm.
boat to the west to battle against, it wasn't Apophis. Who was the god? The snake god.
Yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But basically, what I'm wondering is, did he take that reed boat to the Americas and appear as
Mm.
Quetzalcoatl?
Yeah.
He was trying to go do that westing.
I think so.
It's a good chance he did.
Yep.
They have the exact kind of reed boats over in South and Central America as they do in the Mediterranean and Egypt. Exactly the same.
Because the underworld is considered the West too, because it's where the sun sets down, and so it's thought that the sun is going under to the underworld, and
Yeah.
so the West would be the underworld.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting. We think of everything in a north south type of thing, but maybe there's a lot going on with east west, the rising sun, the setting sun, the underworld. So seemingly maybe we live in the underworld now in America. I mean, but then the underworld to us is the east, right? So
Yeah. Maria Wheatley was talking about how they've aligned the horoscopes or the constellations with the globe. I think she was saying that it was Ptolemy that did that, and
yeah.
they aligned America with Capricorn and I think possibly Pisces, which are associated with the ice giants, and maybe even the Plutonian horoscope, which is the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
So astronomically,
Water slides
that's right.
are death ritual symbolism. Think about it. Going down the water slide, right, is like willingly weighing your heart against
Going
this
down the river.
ethereal energy, and you go whoop, down into the underworld, plunged in, and birthed anew. It's a literal death. little death ritual.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
But for real
That's-
though, like let's all meet up at a water park and try to like go down a slide at one time and maybe have a sweet spiritual experience when we plunge out of the water yet again reborn.
Yeah, the
From
ether is a lot like the water, and like we die every night when we go to sleep, and we get reborn again in
Yes.
the morning, just like we die after death, and we get reborn in the reincarnation.
I 100%. You guys ever seen frogs in your dreams?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Frogs are like, I remember I thought I was getting like haunted by frogs for a bit because like there was these bullfrogs that
Whoa.
would come up in California and I would just kept finding frog bodies everywhere. Like
Oh man.
little frog bodies, and I was like tripping, and I was working with my friend who does Sabaya Sogard. She does the the spiritual working. She does like past life regressions, all the things.
Cool.
She's been on the show, you guys know. And I asked her, I was like, what is going on? I keep finding all these frog bodies everywhere.
Your
She's like,
dreams.
oh. And yeah, dreams were nuts. And anyways, it's
So you were
just,
finding the frog bodies in the dream or outside of the dream?
oh no, I like literally all over the roads. I'd go walking
Oh,
with my
wow.
dog. Yeah, like, and they were like frog bodies. And I usually like to preserve little bodies. I had a little cave down on the property where I would go and I put a snake body, a little mouse in there, and I hope to go
So
back in
weird.
a couple of years and check and see if they're still there. But they're offerings anyway, so I hope they're not there.
I interpreted my frog dreams. There was toads and frogs in this one dream when I was going through my spiritual rebirth, coming out of the dark night of the soul, and I looked up the shamanic message of it to understand that it is a spiritual rebirth. But it's easier to understand why the snake represents rebirth because it sheds its skin and it comes out new. But the frog does not cast a skin. And so I wondered, why does a frog represent rebirth? But apparently frogs can be
Change.
frozen inside of stone or concrete for hundreds of years. And then when the rock cracks open, it can reemerge alive.
What?
Sick.
This is a real thing.
The original
What?
sleeping chamber.
Yeah.
Oh,
They can go.
I was thinking more because it started as a tadpole and then it slowly changes
That's
into
true.
a
well, they also
frog.
lay thousands of eggs too at a time. Like frog
Yeah.
eggs are like, they lay lots, but that's interesting as fuck because that reminds me of like, being mummified or
Transformation.
being cast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like these things must have been known about. I mean, we've always been trying to preserve our bodies. It's always a part of human history. We are trying to live as long as we can, preserve our bodies however we may. And whether that's through embalming or freezing Walt Disney's head or transhumanism and putting your consciousness into a computer robot, like that's what that's what we're trying to do. Sci-fi loves it. Stargate
Face
loved
off.
the concept of taking your consciousness and putting it in the ship. They'd be like, now he doesn't have to die, he's a part of Atlantis forever. Man, I fucking love Stargate, dude. So good.
Love it, man. Yeah, they do that in Star Trek too. They take people's soul, they'll put them into like
What do you guys like better, Star Trek or Stargate?
Stargate is more
talking
imaginative.
Stargate.
Everyone in the chat, you write also right now. What's good? Star Wars, Trek, or Gate? War, Trek, or Gate?
Is
Started from Star Patrol, and then later from Doom. Doom came first.
Star Patrol.
But
do you have more on Egypt and the underworld? Any more stories going on here?
I don't have anything pulled up, but I could grab something on the Aru. I'm going to the Wikipedia.
I have some on Dante's Inferno.
Oh, yes.
All right. I'm just going to read a little brief thing on Aru just for this first part, and then we can go into Dante's Inferno. The reed fields. The field of reeds is the name for heavenly paradise in Egyptian mythology, ruled over by Osiris, an Egyptian god. Location has been described as the Ka of the Nile Delta, It has been represented in hieroglyphs as 3 reeds. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul resided in the heart, and that each individual would therefore undergo a weighing of the heart in the afterlife. Each human heart is weighed on a giant scale against an ostrich feather, which represents the concept of the goddess Ma'at. All souls that successfully balance the scales will be allowed to start a long and perilous journey to Aru, where they will exist in peace and pleasure for eternity. Conversely, hearts that weigh heavy with evil will tip and fall into the crocodilian jaws of the goddess Amit. Any souls that are subject to Amit's second death are doomed to restlessness in the Duat. Qualifying souls undergo a long journey and face many perils before finally reaching Aru. Once they arrive, they enter through a series of gates. The exact number of gates varies across sources, with given figures alternating between 15 gates and 21 gates. They are uniformly described as being guarded by the deities and evil demons. Aru is usually placed in the east, where the sun rises, and has been described as comprising boundless reed fields, like those of the Nile Delta. Consequently, this ideal hunting and farming ground enabled qualified souls to live for eternity. Most precisely, Aru was envisaged as a series of islands covered in fields of reeds. The part of Osiris later dwelt is sometimes known as the Field of Offerings.
That. What do you guys think about the what do you call it when you bring the word, you spell it, and then you from right there spell it right again backwards?
Ambigram,
I don't know.
Ambigram. So the
Ambigram, yeah.
ambigram for reed is
palindrome.
deer, and we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
deer earlier and following those like blue etheric waters or like the inner earthen waters, following those channels, and then
The
deer
light.
or in the light, yeah. And then what do you think about the field of sacrifice and like hunting these fields of deer? That's, and I don't know. That's some juicy juice, man. I love this. This is some juicy juice right here. I'm gonna chew on this for a little bit.
So I would guess that killing an
Mm.
animal for food would not be considered murder or killing, because that would be a transgression if it was. They wouldn't make it to the field of reeds.
Yeah. Oof. Some juicy, juicy
Um,
goodness.
They
the
get
rule
hunted.
is flat earther, huh? Cool, dude.
That's fine.
It's also homophobic, but that's cool.
Oh my
Whatever
god.
you like.
Don't be stereotypic, brother. All right.
He just said it's fake and gay. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like space, so it's fake and gay. So he's homophobic. It's cool. Be what you want to be. So here, here is Dante's 7 layers of hell. So unfortunately, this isn't very good quality, and I can't see it
Dan
exceptionally
drew this
well.
in third grade.
So I'm gonna go to it on my phone so I can zoom in better on it and see it better. But so you have the first circle of hell, which is limbo, which is unbaptized children, uh, pre-Christ, and honorable men. And you have the vestibule to hell, which is the ambient angels and the souls of the futile, which is right above limbo. The second layer of hell is lust. The third layer is gluttonous. And the 3-headed dog Cerberus is there. The fourth level of hell is I don't know what that word is. Misers and spendthrifts, avaricious, where they push huge rocks. The fifth level is boiling mud and the wrathful people. And right below the 5th level is the river Styx. And in the 6th circle is serious criminals and heretics and their fiery graves. And then the 7th level of hell is boiling blood, where warmongers, psychopaths, suiciders, and usurers all go. Then in the 8th level, you have the horned demon, and it says flatterers and sorcerers, but I'm just going to put flat earthers there and sorcerers. And then in the 9th level, you get traitors, and that's in the closest level to hell with Lucifer at the very bottom. And then it shows Lucifer trapped in a block of ice, which is interesting. And then it talks about the islands of purgatory, slow to repent, pride, envy, anger, sloth, covetousness, gluttony and lust, anti-purgatory, and earthly paradise. Then up top there in those other little circles, which I can't read all of them, but they're the heavenly spheres. You have the moon, which equals fortitude, Mercury, which equals good works, Venus, which is spiritual love, Sun, which is learned theology, Mars, which is Christian martyrdom. And I'm guessing the next one is Jupiter and thoughtfulness. And then Saturn in the blue, which is blessed. And I can't see what planet it associates with that last one, but it's theological virtue. I'm guessing that has maybe something to do with Neptune, since those are most of the planets that we can see or that they might have known about at that time. What's after Saturn? Yeah, it must be Neptune, yeah. So, yeah, that's it for the old maps. I can get into the article too. If does this thing scroll down on here, or do I have to go to the other thing?
We don't know in which technology you're using, so we can't answer that for you. You have to figure that out on your own.
Oh, here,
Bud.
I'm there. It says, so this is from waggish.org. It says, I'm always surprised that there haven't been vastly more attempts to capture in a single image the architectural entirety of Dante's hell, if not the other two regions. You can see which one dominates in the picture above. Hell is by far the most sensory, that is, visceral realm, as Anne Stevenson so well put it. In the Museum of Floating Bodies and Flammable Souls, this is Anne Stevenson, painters who painted the flights of martyrs for money, who filled the drapery of angels with rose-tinted oil, had to please rich patrons with trapeze acts of the body, since no one can paint the electricity of the soul. My lady in her blue silk cowl must by now be topsoil. She swans into heaven, almond eyes uplifted in piety. My lord kneels at prayer in a cassock, blade at his heel. Not a single electron remains of his sin or sanctity. While in hell, for example, in the water church of Torcello, the wicked receive their deserts. Disemboweled and dismembered, they are set upon eternally, yet their bodies alone are touched. Unless souls flushed out of the flesh are the flames that torch them. No wonder evil so interesting and goodness so pitifully dull. Torture of the body symbolized torture of the mind, and burning in the bonfires of conscience is hardly confined to hell for bad Italians who, being damned, are being saved as well. Pretty deep. I suppose the thing is just too massive, encompassing an entire cosmos, as Eric Auerbach said in his book on Dante, Botticelli certainly did brilliantly on the massive front, but I have an affection for the more human scale version by Bortomolo, Bortolomeo, which replaces the vastness with claustrophobia. And are you guys seeing this picture? On
Yeah,
it's pretty intense.
super
You can see
intense.
like all the very claustrophobic looking, and everybody's there in the hells together.
I can barely live with one roommate.
Good God.
The Driftless Area Review recently posted a set of infernal images in the landscape of hell, including this lovely version of Dante. So here's another black and white version that also depicts the 7 layers of hell. Yeah, that's it for that part. Rowan?
Very cool.
Yo,
Levels of hell. I found that interesting because you have 7 heavens and 7 hells. Then we have what do we have? 8 planets now? We just have 9, or is it? But I know one thing is that Uranus comes after Saturn because all the other planets outside of Neptune are called trans-Neptunian objects, TNOs. Pluto was deemed one of those, but I don't know if they went back on that.
yeah. Well, as above, so below. You know what I mean? Seven hells, 7 layers of heaven.
Enoch
So
was brought to the 7th heaven, given 72 wings to become Metatron.
oh, unfolding into that cube, baby.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go into the Aztec and Mayan underworld's mythologies, and they believed in nine layers of the underworld,
9
as
layers.
opposed to 7. But
Extras.
yeah, so we'll get into that. Unfortunately, usually I'm able to hyperlink in the slides, but it was being a little bee today, so I got to click over to the different things. But this is a basic picture of the Axis Mundi, and I thought it'd be good to get into the Axis Mundi as we're talking about this concept.
Yeah.
The Axis Mundi just pulled straight off of Wikipedia, right? And I think we know about this, but in a geocentric coordinate system, this is the axis of rotation of the celestial sphere. It's also very metaphysical, as well as like what they're saying is a physical, but anyways, consequently, in ancient Greco-Roman astronomy, the axis mundi is the axis of rotation of the planetary spheres within the classical geocentric model of the cosmos. In the 20th century comparative mythology, the term axis mundi is also called the cosmic axis, the world axis, world pillar, center of the world tree, has been greatly extended to refer to any mythological concept representing the connection between heaven and earth, or the higher and the lower realms. Mircea Eliade introduced the concept in the 1950s. The axis mundi closely relates to the mythological concept of the omphalos, or the navel, or the world, or cosmos. Items adduced as examples of the axis mundi by comparative mythologists induced plants, notably a tree, or a vine or a stalk, a mountain, a column of smoke or fire, or a product of human manufacture, such as a staff, a tower, or architecture, a pillar, a pole, a spire, a cross, a steeple, or a rope. Its proximity to heaven may carry implications that are chiefly religious: pagoda, temple, mount, minaret, church, or secular: obelisk, lighthouse, rocket, or skyscraper. Rocket's interesting. Anywho, so you guys know the axis mundi. Plants often serve as the images of the axis mundi. In mythologies, the image of the cosmic tree provides an axis symbol that unites the three planes: the sky, the earth, and the underworld, the branches, the trunks, and the root. In some Pacific island cultures, How's it? The banyan tree, of which the Bodhi tree is of the sacred fig variety. And this is true because when I found out that a banyan tree is a part of the fig tree, it blew my mind. Um, but yes, the Polynesian tree of life is the abode of the ancestor spirits. And in Hindu religion, the banyan tree is considered sacred and is called Ashwath Vishkra. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, Bhagavad Gita. It represents eternal life because of its seemingly ever expanding branches. The Bodhi tree is also the name given to the tree under which Gautama Siddhartha of the historical Buddha sat on the night that he attained enlightenment. The Mesoamerican world tree connects the plains of the underworld and the sky of that of the terrestrial realm. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We can go over here.
Man,
yes.
Man overboard. Man overboard.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, sorry.
Right?
Didn't realize.
There he is.
Sorry
He's
about
back
that, bro.
now.
Sorry, guys. I was trying to log in to see if I could go into the comments and add comments, but I don't think I can do it.
You can. You can.
Somehow, how do I do it?
Open up the YouTube. You got to have YouTube on another thing.
I got you. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Get in there. Get in them chats, baby.
Get in there.
Get in there. Okay, yeah. So
Axis Mundi.
the Axis Mundi as the human figure. The human body can express the symbols of the world axis. Ooh, the pentatrad, which actually is funny when you look at the name of the banyan tree. I think it has the pentatrad or the pentadrad. Oh no, my apologies. That's actually the Chibalba tree, the Cayman tree. Okay, sorry, I'm out of the slides. Let's go back. Let's go back into the slides here. So as above, so below, right? Not so below, but so below. Right? It's not so dark and icy under there. It's a time to be dark and icy, yes, as is the darkness of the night. But as the sun and the alchemical marriage of reality happens, the sun will turn and you will see the sun yet again. The word chthonic or chthonian is derived from the ancient Greek word meaning earth or soil. It translates more directly from in or under or beneath the earth, which can be differentiated from ge or ge or Gaia, which speaks to the living surface of the land, earth. In Greek, chthonic is a descriptive word for things relating to the underworld and can be used in the context of chthonic gods, chthonic rituals, and chthonic cults. And chthonic cults is an anagram for Cthulhu and more. This is as compared to more commonly referenced Olympic gods and their associated rites and cults. Olympic gods are understood to reference that which exists above the earth, particularly the sky. Gods that are related to agriculture are also considered to have chthonic associations, as planting and growing take place in part of under the earth. And you can see here, that's clearly, talking about fertility, and fertility being that generally, associated with the divine feminine or the women, and the earth, the prima materia, usually being that of feminine association as well. That the fertility goddesses, that of like being the land, and is very important for like blood sacrifice and giving blood to the land, and we're going to get into that. As association with the underworld, a lot of times, like you said, is darker, so a lot of times that means blood is involved. And we have in Aztec and Mayan culture here the vision serpent. Do I have a link here? So let's see. 1 second. I'm just going to pull this link. Goodness gracious. Oh, no, I do have it. Here we are. Yeah, let's talk about the vision serpent. So the vision serpent is an important creature in pre-Columbian Maya mythology. Although the term itself is slowly becoming outdated. The serpent was a very important social and religious symbol revered by the Maya. Maya mythology describes serpents as being the vehicles by which celestial bodies, such as the sun and the stars, cross across the heavens. The shedding of their skin made them a symbol of birth and renewal. They were so revered that one of the main Mesoamerican deities, Quetzalcoatl, was represented as a feathered serpent. The name means precious feathered serpent. From Nahuatl, Quetzalcoatl is used to describe the bird, its feathers, or something precious depending on the context. And Coatl means snake or serpent. The vision serpent is thought to be the most important of the Mayan serpents. It was usually bearded and had a rounded snout. It was also often depicted as having two heads, or with the spirit of a god or ancestor emerging from its jaws. During the Maya bloodletting rituals, participants would experience visions in which they communicated with the ancestors or gods. Not that unlike the shaman in the Greek pantheos. I'm blanking the name. She would stand on the crack, get the inner earth and serpent energy, the download.
The Oracle of Delphi.
Delphi, yes. So you see the association again. These visions took the form of a giant serpent, which served as a gateway to the spirit realm. The ancestor or god who was being contacted was depicted as emerging from the serpent's mouth. The vision serpent thus came to be the method in which ancestors or gods manifested themselves to the Maya. Thus, for them, the vision serpent was a direct link between the spirit realm of the gods and the physical world. The vision serpent goes back to earlier Maya conceptions and lies at the center of the world as they conceived it. It is the center axis atop the world tree. Essentially, the world tree and the vision serpent representing the king created the center axis, which communicates between the spiritual and earthly world planes. It is through the ritual that the king could bring the center axis into existence in the temples and create a doorway into the spiritual world. And with it comes power. Now, that is symbolic also of ancient Egyptian the hats, right? And the helmets, when they put the heshet and the dishet together, they created and it has the snake coming out of the top, being a royal crown. The crown stemming from those is like the unification of that, the divine serpent wisdom of the sacred center, apparently, or the inner worlds that be. And so there's that crossover of Mayan culture and ancient Egyptian culture, these pyramid building cultures. The bloodletting rituals. Many have attempted to explain the manifestation of the vision serpent in association with Maya bloodletting. One conclusion is that the massive blood loss causes the brain to release an abundance of natural endorphins, which are chemically related to opiates. As the body goes back into shock, a hallucinatory vision occurs. Once the actual bloodletting was over, the blood-soaked ceremonial papers were burned, releasing a column of smoke. There we are again with the world tree being a pillar or column of smoke. The smoke provided the perfect medium for the vision serpent to appear. And every major political or religious event involved bloodletting because it provided a medium by which the gods could be called upon to witness and actually participate in the ceremony, creating like a hologram for them to appear. Sometimes the spirits of ancestors were also called upon to give guidance. The Hauberg Stela, AD 199, from the Maya lowlands, is one of the first dated monuments that depict the vision serpent's connection to bloodletting. Lentil 25 depicts the bloodletting rituals as one of Shield Jaguar's wives is seen gazing up towards the enormous bicephalous vision serpent in her left hand. She holds a bowl containing a stingray spine, an obsidian lancet, and paper spattered with blood. The vision serpent appears to be emanating from the bowl. From the jaws of the vision serpent spews forth an ancestral Taulok warrior, complete with spear and shield. Lentel 17 refers bird jaguars as blood lord of the Yachilian and shows him preparing to draw blood from his penis with a stingray spine. Opposite bird jaguar is Lady Balam, who proceeds to pass coarse rope through her gouge and her tongue. The blood is being collected in the vessel near bird jaguar's feet. The vision serpent's mouth is green, and trickles of blood, the characteristic in bloodletting, are red. Lentil 15 depicts the appearance of the vision serpent. The serpent can be seen rising out of the bowl with trickles of blood along the columns of the blood scroll. This lentil shows the queen of Yachilan involved in a visionary experience following an elaborate bloodletting ceremony. She holds the ritual paraphernalia in her arms, and while the vision serpent rises from a bowl of bloodstained paper. The ritualized bloodletting was typically performed by elites, settlement leaders, and religious figures, or shamans, with with context visible to the public. The rituals were enacted on the summits of pyramids or on elevated platforms. They were usually associated with the broad or open plazas, or courtyards. There were where masses could congregate and view the ceremony bloodletting. This was done so as to demonstrate the connection between the person performing the act of sacrifice had in the sacred sphere, as much a method used to maintain political power by legitimizing their prominent social and political and or ideological position. While usually carried out by a ruling male, prominent females are also known to have performed the act. The El Peru tomb of a female, or the queen's tomb, contains among its many grave goods a ceremonial stingray spine associated with her genital region. One of the best known lentils of Mesoamerica is Yetchilan Lentil 24, shows Lady Chalk drawing a barbed rope through her tongue. In front of her, her husband, ruler of Yetchilan, the shield jaguar, is holding a torch.
Whoa.
How the Europeans reacted when finally experiencing this super esoteric culture that was so far different from theirs. Following the Spanish conquest of the Aztecs in 1521, many Spanish missionary ethnographers arrived and recorded graphic and often unsympathetic descriptions of these rituals among the Mayan and Nahuatl-speaking peoples. Although most Spaniards understood the religious significance of the rites, they believed such idolatry merely confirmed the need for rapid conversion to Christianity. Many are also confused genital bloodletting with circumcision, not least because they believed Indians were descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. One of the first to recognize this distinction was Diego de Landa in 1566, a manuscript. At times they sacrificed their own blood, cutting all around their ears in strips, and they would let hang as a sign. At other times they perforated their cheeks with the lower lip. Again, they made cuts in parts of the body, or pierced the tongue crossways and passed stalks through, causing extreme pain. And they hewed at the superfluous part of the penis, leaving the flesh in the form of two floppy ears. It was this custom which misled the historian general of the Indies to say that this was practiced circumcision. Nonetheless, the misconception that the Aztec and the Maya people practiced circumcision persists to this day. Any thoughts on the bloodletting stuff? And
Heavy stuff, man.
I know, right? Sorry.
Definitely some Cain and Abel vibes there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we can go all over the world and find, blood sacrifice for fertility, for crops, and the goddess association to agriculture and that mother Earth, right, being the maternal, to say like, hey, like this is my sacrifice. Like they would, in some stories, go make love to the goddess in the temple, right, for a shekel or a coin, and you give her a bushel, and then she would grant you blessings to have more crop next year. But at the same time, you could think of like you having sex with the goddess could be you giving your life force, a bit of it, an honor to the land in order to give you more crops coming the next year as well.
Like the sucky guy.
Yeah, so this is the Mayan world tree, and it kind of has roots like a banyan, a little bit, not as crazy, definitely not as gnarly, but you see down here the Mayan world tree is very important in the cosmological story, and it's obviously cross correlates to all of these other world trees, and these world trees were symbols for everything. They were symbols for the living realm, the underrealm, and the heaven realm. But their tree specifically was called the Sligo tree. And
Now, is that mentioned in Popol Vuh?
Say it again.
Is that mentioned in the Popol Vuh?
I'm not sure what that text is.
Yeah, that's the text of the Aztecs, I believe, of the Underworld.
Oh, okay. I didn't get a chance to read that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's worth a look.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean this is probably one of my most fascinating interests is Aztec and Mayan culture and Chinese stuff and all just so and Vedic too. Like they're just so in depth about a lot of the darker things, and it's just really interesting to go into and then like make cross correlations. So I'm gonna definitely read into that, brother.
The
You see
calabash tree
the Kabbalah tree?
in Shibala.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Kabbalah. Shibala. Oh shit, that's really fucking
Shibalba.
interesting.
Yeah.
Shibalba and the Siba almost sounds like Kabbalah, right?
Yeah.
Like the Kabbalah to life. That's nuts. The Siba was the most sacred tree for the ancient Maya, and according to Mayan mythology, it was a symbol of the universe. The tree signified a route of communication between the three levels of Earth. Its roots were said to reach down into the underworld. Its trunk represented the middle world where the humans live, and its canopy of branches arched high in the sky and symbolized the upper world and the 13 levels in which the Mayan heaven was divided. According to the Maya, this was King Quinku, consisting of four directional quadrants and a central space corresponding to the fifth direction. Colors were associated with the Kinkuks are red in the east, white in the north, black in the west, and yellow in the south, and green in the center. Although the concept of the world tree dates at least as old as the Olmec times, the images of Maya world tree range in the time of the late pre-classic San Bartolo murals in the 1st century BCE to the 14th century and through the 16th century late to the post-classic Maya codices. The images often have hieroglyphic captions that link them to the particular quadrants of specific deities. The best known post-classic versions are that of the Madrid Codex and the Dresden Codex. The highly stylized image above is from the Madrid Codex, and scholars have suggested that it represents an architectural feature meant to symbolize a tree. So, trees. Other images of the world tree are at the temples of the cross and foliated cross of Palenque, but they don't have massive trunks or thorns of the chiba. So the chiba tree had just gnarly thorns all the way up and down it. It didn't get a chance to put a picture on, but it looks really wild. Like kind of reminds me of like you know that scene where Moondog in that show. What is the show? American Gods.
Oh yeah, that's
When he's getting absorbed into the tree.
yeah.
You know, reminds me of like this tree, this chiba tree that has all these like spikes on it. Like if you were to be pushed up against this tree, oh, it could be blood letting off of the tree. You could go up and just prick yourself on the tree and maybe let blood let onto that. About that.
Whoa.
We'll show you guys a picture of this tree real quick.
I love that Mayan yin yang, the Hunab Ku. It's the coolest.
What's the name?
The Hunab Ku. It's like the yin yang, but it's got the 4 seasons.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, it is very similar to the yin yang, right? Mm-hmm. Is that not? Dude,
Chinese seem to have come to the Americas long ago.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, I think China or not in China really, just like the cultures were obviously.
Yeah.
Look at these spikes, dude. I'm walking up on here.
Even Marco Polo came out here with them. Whoa, badass.
Yeah, Marco Polo was working
spy for the Chinese.
Yeah,
Marco.
Well, he was a spy for the Pope and on the Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Marco.
Oh, she said I'd like to see it spinning. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Spinning spike tree.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, this is a cool little just image.
The Wheel of Fortune.
Oh,
Wheel of Fortune.
Chibalba. Let's talk about Chibalba. We talked about it a little bit. Now we're talking about it again.
Cool.
Chibalba is the name of the underworld in Mayan mythology. Chibalba ruled by the Maya death gods and their helpers. In the 16th century Verapaz, the entrance to Chibala was traditionally held to be a cave in the vicinity of Guatemala. Cave systems in nearby Belize have also been referred to the entrance of Chibalba. We'll go to the Chibalba caves real quick. The Chibalba cave system is one of the largest and best known cave systems in Central America. It consists of 4 distinct caves along the course of the Chiquibul River. Now, Actun Cabal, I don't know, actual Cabal River. Okay, just call it that. And the Sabata Cave in Belize, the Chibalba in Guatemala, as well as several other smaller associated caves. Included within the cave system are 2 of the largest caverns in the world. The Cabal group, the Cabal group of caves, the upper section is the Chiquibul cave system, which has over 12 kilometers of mapped passages with a depth of 95 meters. Damn. Included in the Chiquibul chamber at 250 meters by 150 meters is one of the world's largest caverns. Coal or stone drum includes Belize chamber with dimensions of 300 meters by 150 meters by 65. It is one of the largest natural caverns in the world. Stone Drum was connected to the Kabbalah group in 1999, resulting in a 39-kilometer long cave. Chibalba, this downstream section of the Chiquibul cave system, is entirely within Guatemala at 187 meters, was briefly that country's deepest cave. Currently, it is Jil Mas Nim at 294. Over 7 kilometers of passages have been mapped, including some that are over 100 miles wide. There's some stories about, the actual explorations of that, but the significance of that is actually pretty extreme. And esoterically speaking, we know that there's this Vulcan worship or, this Masonic connection to meeting up in caves and this connection to being inside a cave system in order to do rituals or ceremonies. And the rivers, they're often a lot of times through these cave systems were waterways. And so you're able to travel through them, similar to the stories of the river Styx or the Duat, crossing the river into the underworld because the cave systems are connected by the water. And where's it go? Oh, the pyramids also were connected through underwater cave systems, right? They would into the pyramids through the bottom of the river. They would build a lot of times on like open canals like that.
Is the Milky Way known as a river?
I think so.
Yeah, the river of milk. But it's also known as the sky serpent sometimes. It's interesting they say that the Milky Way is the path to the underworld. So as above, so below.
Right? So you go, and milk. Yeah, I wonder. I know they were
Eridanus.
Right? They were. Say it again, sir.
Eridanus is the celestial river.
Ah.
Where's that? Where's the Eridanus at?
Eridanus.
It's in the sky.
It's got
okay.
Got Dan in it. Danus.
Yeah.
Danus.
I noticed that too.
Dan.
It says it right here. Look at that. In some Maya areas, the Milky Way is viewed to be the road to Chibalba.
Yo, what?
Says it right there.
Love it.
Chibalba is described as the Popova as a port below this. Oh, okay. This is cool. So let's talk about the inhabitants of Chibalba and who lives there. Chibalba is described as the Popova, as a court below the surface of the earth, associated with death and the 12 gods or powerful rulers known as the lords of Chibalba. First among the Maya death gods ruling Chibalba were the one Hun came, 1 death, and Lubum came, 7 death. Though Came is the senior of the two, the remaining 10 lords are often referred to as demons and are given commission and domain over various forms of human suffering to cause sickness, starvation, fear, destitution, pain, and ultimately death. These lords all work in pairs. The flying scab, gathered blood, who sickens people's bloods. The pus demon, the jaundice demon, who cause people's bodies to swell up. The bone staff and the skull staff, who's turned dead bodies into skeletons. The sweeping demon and the stabbing demon, who hide in the unswept areas of people's houses and stab them to death. Wing and packstrap, whose cause people to die coughing up blood while walking on a road. The remaining residents of Chibalba are thought to have fallen under the dominion of one of these lords, going about the face of the earth to carry their list of duties. Where's the here, the ball court. That's what I wanted to. And Chibalba was the home of a famous ball court in which the heroes of Popol Vuh succumbed to the trickery of demons in the form of a deadly bladed ball, just like the bladed tree of life, as well as the site in which the Maya hero twins outwitted the gods and brought about the downfall. According to the Popol Vuh, the Chibalbans at one point enjoyed the worship of the people on the surface of the earth who offered them human sacrifice to the gods of death. Over the span of time and covered in the Popol Vuh, Chibalbans are tricked into accepting counterfeit sacrifices and are finally humiliated, which is a common theme in different pantheons, by the way, right? Counterfeit sacrifices like the wife of Zeus, right, or whatever, and then finally humiliated into accepting lesser offerings from above. Anthropologist Dennis Tedlock has speculated that this version of history may be a cliché slander on the earlier Mayan forms of worship. The role of Chibalba and the Chibalbans after great death defeats the hands of the hero twins is unclear, although it seems to have continued in its existence as the dark place of the underworld long after. So that's Chibalba, which is funny because it's a ball court, they say. You know, who knows?
A ball court or like a court of judgment?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe both, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Most likely if you play like some sort of game or what have you. And, they talk about all these ball games in ancient Aztec, like bouncing the ball off the wall and stuff. So, I mean,
That was one of the most difficult games, it seems. Those balls were heavy.
And this one was talking about it's got a spiked ball, like a bladed ball.
Brutal.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Like hips too, so that would not be fun.
Oh, yeah. They got to do it. It must be metaphorical. Look at like porcupine hot potato.
Maybe they were into shaving their balls.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's where shave your balls comes from.
That's it. You figured it out.
Okay. The 9 levels to Mictlan. So let's talk about Mictlan.
Micmac paddywhack.
Give a dog a Mictlan. Give a dog a bone. Oh, to travel you. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, Mictlan is the underworld of Aztec mythology. So we were just talking about Mayan mythology, and now we're talking about Aztec mythology. Similar but slightly different. So most people who would travel to Mictlan, although other possibilities exist, Mictlan consists of 9 distinct levels. The journey from the first level to the 9th is difficult and takes 4 years. But the dead are aided by the psychopomp, Xolotl, the dog-headed deity in which we're talking about. The dead must pass many challenges, such as crossing a mountain range where the mountains crash into each other, a field of wind that blows flesh-scraping knives, and a river of blood with fearsome jaguars. Mictlan also, which sounds just like a trip. It just sounds like you're going to go and drink some herbs and have an experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was I not on this page?
No, I'm like, where's this river of blood?
Oh, sorry. That was on this page. Anyways, yeah. So mountains crashing into each other, wind that blows flesh-scraping knives, and a river of blood with fearsome jaguars. Sounds like something that might happen on a shamanic journey. Mictlan also features in the Aztec creation myth. Mictlan Quetzalcoatl set a pit to trap Quetzalcoatl. When Quetzalcoatl entered Mictlan seeking bones with which to create humans, Mictlantecuhtli was waiting, and he asked Quetzalcoatl to travel
Mictlantecuhtli.
around. I have to say them one way and say the rest because like trying to, I also want to say serve respect and honor that I'm not pronouncing this correctly. Um, anyways, he asked Quetzalcoatl to travel around Mictlan 4 times, blowing a conch shell with no holes. Quetzalcoatl eventually put some bees in the conch shell to make sound, and he fooled, giving a false sacrifice. Mictlantecuhtli showed Quetzalcoatl to the bones after being fooled, but Quetzalcoatl fell into the pit and some of the bones broke. The Aztecs believed this is why people's height are different. Mictlan is believed to be ruled by the king, the lord of the underworld, and his wife, the lady of the underworld. Other deities in the Mictlan include Ciaquatl, who commanded the Mictlan spirits called. Oh god. Okay, you guys can just read these yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Agricultural Mictlan. Here you go. Someone else. Go.
Shamakakuri.
Yep. Yep.
Chamakado.
Akolmitsi.
The red means you've been taken
We
away.
can say it just fine, Roman. I don't know what your problem is.
No, it's just over and over again. It gets okay. You know what? Whatever.
I'm just messing with you.
So
Relax, God.
Relax, gang. The 9 regions of
Jeez.
Mictlan in Aztec mythology take shape with the Nahua worldview of space and time as a part of the universe composed of living forces. According to Mexica mythology, in the beginning there were 2 primordial gods, Omecahuatl and Ometecahuatl, or Huitli. Sorry, whose children became the creator gods. These names of the creator gods were Quetzalcoatl, Chichipotec, Quetzalcoatl, and Huitzilopochtli, and their inherited art of creation and their parents. From the pre-existing matter, after 600 years of inactivity, Quetzalcoatl and Quetzalcoatl, who Quetzalcoatl we did a whole show with Esoteric Eddie on. These guys don't remember. You can go and check that we did back in January. Quetzalcoatl and Quetzalcoatl organized the vertical and horizontal universes, where the horizontal universe was composed of cardinal or hemispheric directions, and the vertical universe was composed of 2 parts, higher and a lower. This is the squaring of the circle. The higher part was supported by 4 gigantic trees growing in each corner of the central part of the universe. Such imagery is found in the idea of a world tree, such as Yggdrasil in Norse mythology, and Tianmu in Chinese mythology, or the Ashwagandha fig in Hindu, the banyan. These trees impeded the joining of the overworld, the higher world, and the underworld. Also, the earth. The earth was a land formed by the body of Xicotencatl. Oh yes, the crocodilomorphic sea monster. So it was on the back of the turtle in Chinese cosmology, and in Aztec mythology, it's on the back of a crocodile in this river of space, and was a solid living land that generated food for humankind. The crocodile sea monster, Xicotencatl, was Mother Nature. The crocodile here was Mother Nature, from whom was created the surface and the soil. Was Xicotencatl. The myth recounts the following: from Xicotencatli's hair sprang trees, flowers, and plants, and from her skin sprang plains, valleys, and rivers and sediments. From her eyes came wells, caves, and fountains, also mirrors. And from her mouth sprang rivers, lakes, and streams. From her nose came valleys, ranges, and mesas. And from her shoulders the saw-toothed mountain ranges, volcanoes, and mountains. And as they organized the universe horizontally and vertically, the 4 creator gods forged the pairs of gods who would control each area of power. the water, the earth, the fire, and the dead. Yeah, so that's the 9 realms of Mictlan. I'm just trying to speak through this, y'all, and with proper respect. So,
Fascinating.
this is the Lord of Mictlan, the major lord, and
Ooh.
this is supposed to be a blood spattered skeleton with, and the skull. The skull is a skull, but it also had eyes. It looks like the mouth of a horse a little bit, right? The ruler of the underworld, god of the dead, like crossover to Osiris, right?
Slick says horizontal feels like the realm of innuendo. And I happen to know, Slick, that it's not the realm of innuendo. It's the realm of mambo.
What is
The
Mambo?
horizontal mambo.
What is
It's a joke.
Mambo?
God, you guys are dumb. Horizontal mambo. You don't know what that is? It's probably
Horizontal
'cause you
tango.
never do it.
And nobody knows.
Hey.
It's just a joke. Keep on going. I was
Okay.
filling up dead air.
It's an innuendo.
It's an innuendo.
Sexual
It is.
innuendos.
Okay, so
it is innuendo. He's right.
next
We're
line,
both right.
You're both right. Yeah, just let it.
Mostly,
everybody's
mostly
right.
me though. Mostly
Gabe. So Mictlan was considered 6 feet tall and was depicted as a blood-spattered skeleton wearing a toothy skull. Although his head was typically a skull, his eye sockets did contain eyeballs. His headdress was shown decorated with owl feathers and paper banners, and he wore a necklace of human eyeballs, while his ear spools were made from human bones. So you have the owl feathers and the paper banners. Like they were saying earlier, they would bloodlet onto paper and then burn the paper to translate the gods. So this is most likely one of the gods they were channeling or having to come through. He was not the only Aztec god to be depicted in this fashion, as numerous other deities had skulls for heads or wore clothing or decorations that incorporated bones and skulls. He was often depicted wearing sandals as a symbol of his high ranks as Lord of Mictlan. Some pretty sweet kicks, actually. You guys see these?
Yeah, nice kicks. He's
Sick.
killing
His wife was Mictlantecuhtli, and together they are said to dwell in a widowless house in Mictlan. She was associated with spiders, owls, and bats. Like, that's my kind of babe, dude.
Dope.
Spiders, owls, and bats. Anyways, Mictlantecuhtli was the god of the day sign. Itzkuntli, or dog. Real quick, we're gonna go over here. It said dogs of Mesoamerican folklore. Dogs have occupied a powerful place in Mesoamerican folklore and myths since the late Classic period, right throughout the modern times. A common belief across Mesoamerican region is that dogs carry a newly deceased body across the water in the afterlife. Dogs appear in the underworld scenes painted on Maya pottery dating to the Classic period, and even earlier than this in the pre-Classic. The people of the Chupaquero buried dogs with the dead. In the Great Classic period of Metropolis and Teotihuacan, 14 human bodies were deposited in a cave, most of them children, all together with the body of 3 dogs to guide them on their inner path to the underworld. This homie is a hairless dog. From Mesoamerica, archaeological evidence we found. Damn it, I'm not sharing the tab. Sorry, guys.
Oh shoot, there he is.
Yeah.
So lots of quintal. Is that different than the black hairless dogs? Slottles?
Oh.
Caucasian version.
Cholula.
Oh yeah, this looks like my Zuchi boy right here. The Zuchi boy was bald. Look at him. Whoa, hairless black dog.
Chiloto. It's Anubis.
Straight up. Oh, this guy. Look at this homie, dude.
Yeah.
What?
What a fucking G.
Straight up G. Killing it.
What
Badass.
a straight gangster, bro. Like, talk
Well, he is a
about
cholo.
That's dog's boy right there.
yo. I wanna fuck with
O-
you, eh? It's like fucking
OG, triple
scrap.
OG.
Like scrap that. Like scrap with me. Like scrap.
My mohawk.
Do some of these back.
Got
Jay.
bad in the mohawk.
We should do that shit like Snoop Dogg does and like do voiceover over like Discovery Channel shit.
That was classic, man. I love that show.
Boom, 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 boom. I'm coming at you. I got a guess. Man. I got to talk about it, motherfucker. Man. You don't want none. You ain't get it. Come through the shit and I'll see you in a minute. I'll take you to the afterlife, man. I'll give you a couple of this tea, man. You don't want none of these herbs. I'm gonna make you trip dick when you hit how you heard. Slick, slick. What it gonna do? I'ma slurp up the bubble tea brew. And a little walk and I'm gonna get it, yeah. I'm gonna get it, yeah, where you slip when I slap. Whoa. Okay. All right. Anyways, I am done with
You're like
that.
the comedian that keeps on going and going and going and like
So,
takes the joke too far, too long.
Anyways, yeah, that's me. So
Anyways,
it's the first day. I'm almost done. I got like a couple more slides, I swear. to
yeah,
God.
no shit. We have to end at 5. I didn't even get to my second one, man. Shit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just anyways, listen. This
Ball
is
hog?
one of the more this is one of the more interesting. Well, then I'm not after this. I swear. So I just have to tell you guys about the crocodile. Because it associates to ancient Egypt as well. Right. So we have the dogs, right? We have Anubis, Osiris, underworld connection, cross culture. And then now we got the crocodile and the river, which is another
which part?
Mesoamerican Egyptian cultural crossover. Okay. Crocodile or Cayman or Chipactli was the first day of the Aztec divinatory count of 13 by 20 days. The sign of Chipatli was considered to have been the first diviner. In Aztec cosmology, the crocodile symbolized Earth floating in the primeval waters. According to one Aztec tradition, the divine crocodile was a name of a survivor of the flood who rescued himself in a canoe and again repopulated the Earth. In the Mixtec Vienna Codex, the crocodile is a day associated with the dynastic beginnings. In Aztec mythology, Chipatli was a primeval sea monster, part crocodilian, part fish, and part toad or frog, with indefinite gender. Always hungry, and every joint on his body was adorned with an extra mouth. The deity Tezcatlipoca sacrificed a foot when he used it as bait to draw the monster nearer. He and Quetzalcoatl created the earth from its body. Carl A. Taub has noted that among the formative period Olmec and his pre-Hispanic Mayan peoples, crocodilians were identified with the rain-bringing wind, probably because of the widespread belief that the wind and rain clouds are breathed out of the cave openings of the earth. A series of Olmec bas-reliefs in the state of Morelos portrays crocodilians breathing rain clouds from their upturned mouths. Portable greenstone Olmec sculptures depict crocodilians in similar positions, indicating that they are probably also breathing. That reminds me of like the dragon mythos and like dragons and the association with the weather. In the Mayan Popol Vuh, the name of the earthquake demon, Sipakna, apparently derives from Chipatli. Sipakna is the demon Sipak of 20th century Highland Maya oral tradition. So yeah, highly venerated, and it looks like a dragon. Like this looks like a picture of a dragon, right? So it's interesting. One of the last things I think you guys all know is the Kamazats, which were these bat gods that were associated with the Mictlan's wife, the lady of the underworld. She was associated with bats. but they would do some of her bidding. And yeah, I thought that was
I am
really
Batman.
interesting. Like, they had this, like, supposedly this is like, some of these are fake for sure, and this one might also be fake, but they say that
It is.
Camazotz. Yeah, no, it's
I am.
definitely fake. I mean,
I am
I am
Camazot.
Camazotz, man. Oh, I mean, like, such good art.
Cool.
But anyways, and then that's my last slide. Camazotz.
Ooh, look at that big old ball dangler.
I know, right? Got this like sweet sandals on too. Like, those are like sock sandals. Man, like,
And
how
cock
cool would it
sock.
be? So when we played our role playing, our live action role play episode, and I was like I was a Batman. I was kind of trying to be like a Camazotz, I guess.
Oh, you
So
were?
yeah, because I look at this guy. How would I not want to be this guy? Exactly what I want.
Yeah, you're a Batman.
I'm a Batman. Thank you. Okay, so we did it. We made it through that. Ancient Aztec and Mayan underworld has many correlations to these other mythology in the world.
I got a quick thing on the Incan underworld. I got a share screen I could do. We got requests from the comments on Amaru. It's a short thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's do it. 1 second.
Now that Roman took up a whole hour, we're not gonna have time. We got another show at 5:30, Don.
Got you. This one's quick. In the mythology of the Andean civilizations of South America, the Amaru, or Qatari, is a mythical serpent or dragon. In Incan mythology, Amaru is a double-headed serpent that dwells in the underground at the bottom of lakes or rivers, illustrated with the heads of a bird and a puma. Amaraku can be seen emerging from the central element of the center of a stepped mountain or pyramid motif in the Gateway of the Sun at Tiwanaku, Bolivia. When illustrated on religious vessels, Amaraku can be seen with bird-like feet and wings, and so that it resembles a dragon. Amaraku is believed to be capable of transcending boundaries to and from the spiritual realm or subterranean world. And in this image, it looks like he's got a frog body with bird wings, a snake tail, and I don't know what kind of head he's got on there. What do you guys think?
Can you zoom in on that photo?
Yeah. Let's see.
Because if he's got the frog mouth, that's directly correlated.
It looks like he's got like an alpaca head.
Whoa.
I don't know what the fuck that
Or a
is.
camel.
Like a camel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's freaking wild. All right. Well, I just wanted to mention Amaru. That's quite a little fascinating tale to bring it into the underworld stuff. Now, next up, I've got a little something I wrote up on Inanna and her descent to the netherworld. Put my share screen here. Boom.
Amaru Khans. Amaru, yeah.
So
Amaru does not come from Amerigo Vespucci, by the way.
No. America is the native name for the Americas.
Yeah. The shining serpent.
Yes. So next up, I got Inanna. My share screen's ready to go. Now we're talking about here the 7 realms of the underworld, and Inanna is going to descend through the underworld. I believe she seeks powers from the netherworld gods. Now, in the preparation for her wedding, it's custom for a female relative to dress the bride. During her dressing, the bride tells of her plans for the husband. The plans are so grandiose, the female relative dressing her tells the groom's father. The father is alarmed and fears the king's other son's kingship lineage will get the advantage. So his plan is to have his daughter be impregnated by her brother, the groom. This way, the kingship lineage stays intact on their side of the family. How he would know the offspring would be male, I do not know. So this is a little backstory to the premise of why she needs to travel to the underworld. Now, after he impregnates his sister, he falls asleep, and he has the dream of death. When he wakes, he tells his sister, who thinks he will be accused of raping her. He runs from the city and ends up by a waterfall. The rocks are slippery, and he falls to his death. This last part is confusing. The would-be bride rushes to the place where her groom's body lay. She is accused by her sister of wanting to be impregnated by her groom's brother. The advisor to the would-be bride's sister says that the sister should curse her with 60 plagues. The king's son that created mankind and is also the groom grandfather fashions 2 bloodless emissaries that cannot be harmed by their defenses to go and retrieve the bride. The advisor to the bride's sister attacks the 2 emissaries with an open-ended lightning vajra, but it does not affect them. The advisor then shows them to the lifeless body of the bride, which he has hanged up from a stake. The 2 emissaries direct a healing closed vajra upon her, put a plant of life in her mouth, and sprinkle her body with the water of life. So that's kind of a short overview of what's going to be going down here. Now we're looking at the 14 tablets of Enki, and we're going to be reviewing through chapter 11. There's a short text here. In chapter 11.4, this portion explains some of the confusion of the last portion. The bride has gone to the underworld in search of the groom body, the underworld in olden times being the place of death. The 2 emissaries bring her back to life and then proceed to leave the underworld, taking along the groom's body. The bride wants revenge and demands the death of the groom's father, even though he did not kill his son. The bride seeks revenge by starting a war. It ends with the father of the groom trapping himself in a chamber of the pyramid. He has entombed himself and will die there if nothing is done. His father makes a deal where he will be exiled and giving up kingship lineage. For everything these Anunnaki do and have done, this seems unfair. But the Earth Commander is playing politics and has gotten the upper hand. His brother, by being older, should be the next king. But by this event, the kingship lineage almost ensures the kingship will never be his brother's lineage. This portion deals with rescuing the father from the chamber tomb and damage done inside the pyramid to the stones, beams, and beacon. The Earth Commander also reassigns lands. This brings up another question he has for his father, the king. The Earthlings are multiplying faster than the Anunnaki. How do the Anunnaki get the Earthlings to obey and serve them? The king decides to come to the surface one more time. But after returning to the underworld, he locks the gates until the collapse of the empire of the fallen angels at the end of their dark age of enslavement and exploitation of their slaves. When the slaves rise up from tyranny and take the power back to welcome the gods back to help them ascend. And so this narrative kind of plays out the story of what transpired by the fallen angels to drive away the gods into the inner earth to hide out until the end of the dark age that they've created with all of their ridiculous shenanigans that they've been pulling off and the 60 plagues that resulted. But this is just a brief overview. There is another text I wanted to review, and I have some excerpts that I'm going to be reading from, but I'll share the actual link here. Now we have Nana's.
Uh-oh. Drop that like
Man
a fly on the
overboard.
wall. Man overboard. Man, hit him with some juice, baby.
Bro, we got like 5 minutes left, and then we got to get into another interview. We're going to have to do a part 2 because I still had a couple more things to go over that were probably going to be a little bit long. The river Styx and the Romans, and the story of Balder going to the underworld. And then also Indy had the whole story of Inanna going down to the underworld to get into. So
yeah, we'll do
we're gonna
part
have to.
2.
when 2 hours is not enough.
Yeah, right.
We're just having too much fun out here. You know what I mean? We got to hear
What
a lot of
happened, man?
rap
Dropped
game.
out.
Straight killing it. We got to comment on the sneakers of that blood spotted skeleton off the chain.
Probably Nikes.
Player. This is a player's ball, no doubt.
Nikes.
Do you
Sorry.
want
Nikes.
to finish up, wrap up the thoughts though on what you had pulled up? You kind of dropped out on us, brother.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you dropped out, I was saying, Indy, we're gonna have to do a part 2 next time we do it, and so that way you can get into Inanna and the story of Underworld too, and
Sounds
we
good,
can get
man.
into the River Styx
totally
and
nuts.
Balder. Yeah, there we might have to do a couple more to because there's a lot of stories of the Underworld, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
finish it up
They
here.
go on and on, man. They've been lost stories, though. We don't hear too much about it. But we're bringing it to you.
Yeah,
So,
finish up that last part, Indy, that you're doing.
oh, okay. I got this next part right here. All right. Inanna's descent to the netherworld. This translation, there's some parts of the tablet that are broken, but I have some quick excerpts that I'm going to read from as I scroll through along. Now, Inanna's descent to the underworld. She wore 7 items. She wore a turban, lapis lazuli beads, twin egg-shaped beads, come man come pectoral. I don't know what pectoral is, but I believe it's on her breast. So she has something come man come on her breast. I don't know what that is. A golden ring, lapis lazuli, measuring rod and line, and a pala dress with undergarments. So at east of the gates, kind of like the story of Eurydice and Orpheus, she has to release one of her articles at each of the gates. And she was judged by the Anuna, the 7 judges, after crossing the 7 gates and having an article removed at each of those gates. They observed upon her after having crossed the gates. They observed upon her the look of death and the speech of anger from her, and they shouted heavy guilt at her, turning her, the afflicted girl, into a corpse, which was hung on a hook. Now, at this point, her minister, Ninkubura, followed the instructions that she gave her for the descent. She made a lament for her ruined houses. She beat a drum for her in the sanctuaries. Now, this is all on the surface world. She made a round of the houses of the gods in Lil, Nana, and Enki. And she lacerated her own nose and eyes. Precious alloys were thrown to the dirt. Lapis lazuli was smashed with a mason's stone. Boxwood was chopped up with a carpenter's wood. And in private, she lacerated her own buttocks, and like a pauper, she clothed herself in a single garment. And all alone, she set her foot in the Ekur, Urim, and Iridug, the houses of the gods in Lil, Nana, and Enki, respectively. To Enlil she pleaded to each of the 3 gods for Nana, at no avail, and with Enlil or Nana, however, there was no result. However, Enki became worried, and he removed some dirt from his fingernail and made Kurjara, and gave a life-giving plant. He removed dirt from his other fingernail and made Galatura, and made life-giving water. Which I don't know how I was able to achieve this from fingernail dirt, but that's the story. That's how it goes. Enki then spoke out to the Galatura and the Kurjara, enlivening them, and said, "Go and direct your steps to the underworld. Flit past the door like flies. Slip past the door pivots like phantoms. The mother who gave birth, Erek Kigala, on account of her children, is lying there, her holy shoulders covered by a linen cloth. Ereshkigal. I guess it's Ereshkigal. Yeah, they just spell it differently. Her breasts are not full like a kagan vessel. Her nails are not like a pickaxe upon her. The hair on her head is bunched up as if it were leeks. So when they go down there, and when she says, "Oh, my heart," he says to say to her, "You are troubled, our mistress. Oh, your heart." When she says, "Oh, my liver," say to her, "You are troubled, our mistress. Oh, your liver." And when she asks, "Who are you?" "From my heart to your heart, from my liver to your liver. If you are gods, I will talk with you. If you are mortals, may a destiny be decreed upon you." So then they made her swear by this, by heaven and earth, that they were offered a river with its water. They were told not to accept it. When they were offered a field with its grain, they did not accept it either, as it was instructed by Enki. They said to her instead, "Give us the corpse of the goddess hanging on the hook." Holy Erekigala answered, "The corpse is that of your queen." They said to her, "Whether it is that of our king or that of our queen, give it to us." So they were given Inanna and sprinkled the life-giving plant and water on her, after which she arose. But as Inanna was about to ascend from the underworld, the Anuna, the 7 judges of the underworld, seized her and stated, "Who has ever ascended from the underworld has ascended unscathed from the underworld. If Inanna is to ascend from the underworld, let her provide a substitute for herself." So they didn't want her to leave without having somebody to replace her in her place. And she was escorted by one in front of her with a scepter
Oh,
in his
hold
hand.
up.
Yeah,
Cliffhanger. You have to
yeah.
tune in
Uh-oh.
next time to figure out the rest of the story.
All right.
Yeah.
2 more
Yeah, we do.
paragraphs.
We do have a guest to continue the day. An author waiting in the waiting room over on the Zoom.
Gotcha. All right, we'll have to get to the end of the story next time.
Yeah.
She gets up to the
Oof.
above world, and her servants, she declares that they're not worthy of taking down because they've been told to dress up like a bunch of paupers. And then she sends her husband down, knowing he's got enough magic to get out of the hands of the demons. So we'll tell you about how it all goes down next time.
Yeah, same. What's that guy's name?
Dumuzi?
Kamazat. Kamazat.
Oh,
Kamazat.
Same
the
same
Batman.
Kamazat time. Same Kazamat channel
Yes, sir.
next week.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning
Kamazat.
in, and sorry we have to cut it short today. We have a triple stack podcast day. It's like a club sandwich Sunday, which means there will be some really dope stuff coming on the regular feed this week and next week. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your tongues pierced, keep your nails filed, and get ready to make some sweet clay babies, homunculus, and dive deep into the next esoteric rabbit hole.
Bring your homunculi.
Yeah. You can't get down with that. Got 2 words for you.
Wake.
Wake up.